Got the car projects outside on a quick pause while we're working on getting the drywall finish work done. I've been working on the shop for a long time as part of an addition project on my home. It's exciting to finally be to the point where the walls are going to be ready for paint and we can turn the shop from the project to the place where the fun projects are going to get worked on. So I'm really excited. Let's jump in there and check it out and start getting some paint on the walls and finishing it up. The drywall finishers just wrapped it up in here. It was a team of 2 guys. It took them 7 work days for this as a 700 square foot shop roughly, and there's a 2-car garage next to us where they also finished the ceiling and the front wall in it. I ended up going with a smooth wall finish. I was thinking texture, but I've seen with the Hawk and Trowel where dust can start to settle on top of the texture, so I wanted to go with a smooth wall. In my shop here, you can see I've got the 6 hyper lights. These are 100-watt high bay lights. You can pick them up on Amazon. They're about $65 each. I think if you get a 4-pack, it's a discounted rate. All right, let's get into it. Took a cordless leaf blower to the walls and ceiling to get some of the loose dust out of there before painting. A small fan set up just to try to motivate some of the dusty air that's stirred up in the garage and get it out. Drywall finishers did a real thin coat of the mud over all of the drywall. They call it a skim coat. They told me I wouldn't have to worry about priming. And this would make it quicker and easier to do the paint work. That it would only take 1 coat. White paint I used on the ceiling. It was a paint primer combo, a Sherwin-Williams. Even being a paint primer combo, I don't know if it was still too thin or if the skim coat didn't work as intended, but the ceiling was still splotchy and ended up having to do 2 coats over the whole thing to make it look good and even. And finally getting some paint over the workbench side of the shop. You can see a couple different colors in the corner and on the side here. I was trying out a couple different samples to see what I liked and what I thought looked good. Then I got to getting the line of tape on the ceiling for the line at the top of the wall. Now moving on to getting primer on the walls. I started with a brush and a roller and cut it in from the tape down about a foot. And then I continued from the ground with a roller on a pole. With the primer all done, it's time to get some paint on the walls. We're going to use a 2-tone with a lighter gray and a darker gray. The dark gray is going to go up a little under 4 foot from the bottom, and it'll be light gray on the top of the walls with a stripe in the middle. All right, so we're all done with the light gray that's going to be at the top. The idea here is to have a dark gray at the bottom. I brought out my laser level and I've got it putting a line on the wall. It's about 46 inches up from the bottom, and that is going to be the top of the darker gray section. Now above that, there's going to be about a 1-inch stripe of this same light gray, and then I'm going to do a 4-inch band of the dark gray above that. So let's get to it. We're going to start putting our tape on the wall based on the laser level marks. Never had luck with masking tape and not getting the paint bleeding through. It doesn't matter how good I press it or what tape I get. And I read about this trick online, so I ended up going over the tape with the original light gray color, so that way the bleed through that goes behind the tape will be the light color. After the light gray dries, then you go over everything with the color you want it to be. This ended up working really well. I had to change one of the 120 outlets and then get the covers put on the rest of them. I put a high amp 220 outlet on the front wall in the garage. This will be for running my welder or any other big equipment I bring in. It's finally time to get the TV mount and the TV hung back up on the wall. Overall, I'm super pleased with how it turned out. It's not perfect. There was a couple spots where when peeling the masking tape, there was some bleed through. There was other spots where it's almost like there's contamination on the drywall prior, and as the tape came off, it took like some of the drywall mud and kind of messed it up. But I don't think it's anything too major. I should be able to take a little small paintbrush and go and touch it all up. Haven't gotten to that yet. A big part of this was I didn't want to just leave the inside of the shop as just the wood studs or with the bats in the walls. I didn't want to leave it just drywall or with the the mud. I wanted to have a shop that I could be proud of, and I want to have my shop look good. It was kind of weird choosing to do like the two-tone. There's a few different styles, and I was a little bit torn on which ones to do. One of them it's like a lighter gray top with a darker gray bottom and like a band in the middle, like a navy blue. And I really liked that one, but I'd seen it in a few different places, and I kind of just didn't want to do the exact same thing. I saw one picture that was kind of similar to this one, and picked some colors that were a little bit different. And overall, I'm very pleased with it. I think it looks great. I'm very proud to call this my shop. I've still got some more work to do, but it's definitely coming together, and it's now I've got it to a place where it's time to get some cars in here and start working on some cars. So I don't need to be worried about working on the shop itself. So it'll be fun to get back to the hobby and start doing some fun stuff. The next project that's going to be happening is going to be a nitrous install. It's a plate set from Nitrous Outlet on the Jeep. There is a streetcar takeover event that's going to be happening here in a couple weeks, pretty close. So I'm hoping with that I should be able to get down to about the 12 O's, and we'll see how it runs in that class. Should be fun. Hopefully I don't have any issues. I'm getting it installed so quick.